the cat's warming up over there. So you just take this and you throw it away. Welcome to Life in the Moose. The ladders are posted. You know what that means. Roofing day. We're gonna put shingles on this shed studio today. Have you ever installed shingles on your house or a shed maybe? I installed the shingles on that garage about 24 years ago, believe it or not. So far, no problems. I'm going to install asphalt shingles. Specifically, an architectural comp is what they call this, an architectural style. Now that's opposed to a 3-tab. 3-tab used to be the traditional. Well, they looked kind of like this, even though this is a starter shingle and a ridge shingle. But the old 3-tabs looked kind of like that, where there was just 3 tabs. This one has overlapping tabs and extra thick layers. This is supposedly about a 30-year roof, whereas the original 3 tabs were usually, I want to say 20 or 25. So each bundle of shingles comes with complete instructions. So you just take this and you throw it away. You know how it is. They make everything way more complicated than it has to be. Just like I did on the garage, we're gonna start off with tar paper. Good old-fashioned tar paper. There's a lot of fancy underlayments you can use nowadays. So I have this tar paper around the corners sunning. It's about 40 degrees out, but when the sun hits it, it's pretty nice. So that's warming up right here. Oh, the cat's warming up over there. Tucker's up there. He doesn't like sitting in the sun. And also, just like the garage, I'm not going to install any metal fascia or drip edge, anything like that. I just don't think it's really necessary. But I am going to leave the shingles extend at least 3/4 of an inch past all of my trim. Right now I have a 2x4 screwed up there temporarily for 2 reasons. One is to leave me that space because I have a 3/4 of an inch fascia trim, and then I want the shingle to hang over at least another 3/4 of an inch. So that'll space it out perfectly. And the other reason is the ladder. If I wouldn't have this, then the shingles would be curled over and the ladder would be leaned up against them and they crack. So this will take care of both issues. Because I'm gonna have 2 pieces of trim on the rake edge, I want my shingles to hang over about 2 inches past this framing. Let's get rolling. So the row of starter shingles here comes with 3 main tabs, and they're actually perforated so you can take them apart, bend them over and use them for the ridge cap, which I'll get to later. But one reason I took this off is I want this starter underneath to go like that so there's no gap at the bottom of my overhang. Now I don't want these the same size. I always want at least 6 inches of lap between any seams. Seems like a good idea. So I'm going to use good old-fashioned shingle nails. I use electro-galvanized nails. Those are, I believe, a code thing if it were required. This is not. It's a shed. It's not going to be permitted or anything like that. But I try to kind of follow the practices and policies anyway. 1 inch nails in the field. I have longer ones for the ridge cap where it's going to have to go through more material. Also that vent cap. I think the rule of thumb is nails have to penetrate 3/4 of an inch into the sheathing, or if the sheathing is less, like this is, 1/2 inch, then it has to stick out 1/8 of an inch on the other side. Clear as bud? You get that, right? I thought so. Last but not least, well, it's probably not going to be last. but it's probably not least either. Where and how many nails? 4 nails is the recommended pattern. I've seen people do 5. We're just gonna do 4 nails, and basically an inch from the edges, and then equidistant in between. And then go right above that flap right there. Because that's a little sticky, it will be sticky when it's warm. Little tar strip right there. That'll hold everything down nicely. Okay, you just saw the nails are sticking through the sheathing about 3/16 of an inch, give or take. So we're good to go. About half of this side is finished up. I'm still lined up with the lines on the tar paper, so that's looking good. And I also eyeballed it from this end, shot down an edge of the shingle line, and it's not bad. With the roof this small, it isn't extremely critical, but if you're doing a big roof, you want to double check because it's easy to get off just a little bit, and in 30 rows, that'd be a lot. I'm going lightweight today. I'm sporting my old tool bag. It weighs about 1/4 as much as my new tool bag. So there's not a lot I have to carry around up there, but it's nice to have a lightweight bag for stuff like this. 313. Well, I'm gonna keep going on this. I'll try to make it as interesting as possible for you and get good angles and whatnot. It's kind of tough. I almost need platforms surrounding the building so that I can get good good camera shots. But I don't. But I'll work with what I have, and hopefully you'll love it so much you just can't look away. You probably saw how I cut these shingles. It's really not rocket science. Depending on where you have to cut it, just a slice, actually just a score with the utility knife on the back, and then you could crack it in that direction and everything comes apart really nicely. The only time you have to think about it is when, like right here, when you have 2 layers. Then the bottom one wants to come off easy, then you're stuck with a little bit right there, so you just got to pay attention to that because you don't want to rip it off or tear it off. Nice even edges are what you want. Another crisp morning in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, this side's a little frosty over here. Luckily, we're finished with that side. As you can see, I cut the shingles for my ridge ventilation right there. Okay, this side's nice and dry. Let's get to work. Did you check my speed square? About halfway finished with this side. Still equidistant from the top all the way across. So that's a good thing. I wanted to point something out. In my attempt to overthink things, I decided to go ahead and keep this 2x4 going across from wall to wall. I want both walls to be straight up and down, plumb, all the way across its entire 12 feet. If you put weight on a roof like that, it's going to want to go and spread like that. Obviously that won't happen on this wall because it's framed and tied together end to end. So we have a 12-foot span in the middle where it's not tied together. I am going to put a couple of collar ties up there. I believe I told you in an earlier episode. So collar ties prevents that spreading from happening. I wanted to make sure that was up before I went monkeying around up on the roof. Last thing I want to happen is for that roof to be compromised. So we're just being cautious, overly cautious, maybe. Okay, I'm ready for my rolled roof vent. Let's see how this works. I think this is 20 feet. I need about 12, give or take. It's supposed to overlap the hole that I made up here by about 6 inches each side. So that's what it looks like. This fabric lets air through, obviously. This gets bent over the peak just like that. So air can get in through the sides here and up through the middle right here. There's supposed to be a little cap for the ends here somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. Aha! I think I see it in there. Right there, little foam cap. That way bugs and water won't get in the end there. I don't want to lose that. I don't know where the other one is. Ah, this is two. perforated. I'm not very good at reading instructions. Does anyone else have that problem? Supposed to caulk that in there, so I will do that. I'm gonna roll this out, cut it to length. Let's do that. Hopefully you can see what's going on. I need someone like 14 feet tall videotaping me. Because of this thickness, I'm using 1 3/4 shingle nails for this part. I almost forgot. I gotta put a bead of roofing tar around this opening. That's important. You don't want wind driving rain underneath this. One note about walking on asphalt shingles. These little pieces of gravel come off fairly easy. And the warmer it gets, the easier they come off. All the shingles are on. There's a couple shingles that are ear flapped up a little bit, just because it's cold, relatively cold. The first time the sun is on this for any amount of time, all the stuff will lay flat in no time. So I'm not really concerned about that. And you saw in my last 2 nails that I drove right here, since there's not a flap to go over them, I put some roofing mastic on that. It's gray, it's actually a little bit better than the tar you see. Really good stuff. I know it doesn't exactly match. I've seen people take the granules that are left over in the bag of shingles and actually spread them on top of this mastic, kind of press it in. You won't see it. But I'm not gonna do that. It's just a shed. I want to point one thing out about those ridge shingles, that ridge cap up there. You always want to pay attention to where the prominent prevailing wind is coming from. Here the weather comes from the west, the southwest to be exact. Here I started on the east end of the building on that end, just to make sure I'm shingled correctly. So that's it. You ever put shingles on your house or a building? I would venture to guess there's more shingle roofs than any other kind of roof in this country, in the United States anyway. I don't know about where you live, but shingles are pretty prominent. Number 2 has to be steel. That's just a guess. I know there's a lot of tile in the south and the southwest, but I'm still guessing it's shingles and then steel and then tile. Correct me if you think I'm wrong or if you know for sure. I know a lot of homeowners, and myself included, have tackled shingling a roof. All right, I gotta clean up this mess. There's pieces of shingle strewn about. Next week, Red Moose Ranch. I'm excited about that. I can't wait to get back there. This sunny streak we have in the Pacific Northwest is over as of tomorrow, back to the normal 10 degrees warmer and raining all the time. So you take care of yourself. I'll see you next week on the ranch. In the meantime, stay out of trouble. I'll see you soon.